on the Linux platform, we will understand the computer hardware and listing associated with it. And in that way, we will find all the commands what are necessary for computer hardware to communicate with Linux operating system. So here we will ensure that you have a basic understanding of Linux operating system. And so here we have a Ubuntu operating system we have, and we can do it in toggle full screen mode. Okay. So in this way, we will list out each computer hardware in our Linux environment. Okay. So we have this Ubuntu operating system, and in this way, we can, let's say, I have to open, suppose in our Windows system, suppose we have to open any my computer. Okay, in this PC, we have to check the list of directories. So here we will see that these are the list of folders I have in my Windows operating system, which is Windows 11. Now, in Linux operating system, how we will list it? How we will come to know that there are this much folders in particular directory? So there is a command called, we have to go with command line interface only in the Ubuntu operating system. Okay, so we will type ls. So it will list the number of folders, documents, what are there. Desktop is there, folder is there, documents as we have in Windows. Okay, as we see in Windows that there are different types of commands folders are listed in the left hand side. So in the same way, this Linux will help us to command line interface to know how commands work. Okay, so we will go ahead with communicating with hardware system. Let's suppose we want to know the type of CPU. Okay, which type of CPU we are using in our Linux operating system. So we'll type this simple command ls CPU. Okay, so in this way, it will list the number of hardware, the CPU cores. Suppose here in this machine they have 16 cores. Okay. Now what about our Ubuntu CPU machine? So we will see here. Here also we have our lab environment. They have given us 16 CPU, and it's Intel the vendor. Okay. So there are six cores of CPU here. CPU family 6 and core, sorry, 16. There are number of CPU cores. Okay. So this is all about the information on the hardware part. Now, next we will check over the command line interface for even more details. If we will go, use the head command line with an option to list the 20 lines of the CPU file. Okay, so we have this file in this directory, proc CPU info. Now with the head command and with the option of n number of 20, it will list the number of first 20 lines. Okay, so the same way we will type this command. So I will do clear the screen, clear, and I will type it freshly. So I will simply paste this command. Okay, I have the directory. Now I will press it head hyphen n 20. Okay, so in this directory, it will first describe the first 20 lines of CPU info file. Okay, so this, although these flags are beyond the scope of this course, but we'll find them useful for planning or troubleshooting production systems where we have to collate only the required information. So that's the reason we are given this parameter with n and with number of 20 lines only. The useful information only we have to uh, process or retrieve. In the same way, if we want to know that how much RAM and swap space is used, so we'll use the simple command, free command in our Linux operating system, Ubuntu. So this is free and hyphen end. So it's a very simple command. It will let us know the number of what to say, how much space is used and how much free is left. So here you can see the free space left is this much in our Ubuntu operating system, which is a Linux operating system, and how much swap space is being used. Okay. Similarly, with the G option, we will find it in GB. Okay, so 161 GB free is there, or here swap space used is 1 GB. Okay, so likewise, we will get the information of this and calculator also. If we see how much we will come to know that. So 1024 MB, it is equal to 1 gigabyte. Okay. So likewise, this calculation goes in our Linux operating system for the command line interface. Now, next thing we will see, as we are understanding the computer hardware on the Linux operating system, so we will want to know what devices are connected to my PCI bus. Okay, so PCI bus means it's a the processor, how much many ports or how many devices are connected to my, means how many PCI slots are there in my PC. Now in Windows operating system, in our Windows 11, how we will check? So here we can go to direct device manager, and in device manager we can easily check, find it. So in device manager you can see these are the list of disk drives. Okay. Now we have to see the number of, in the processor only we will find it. Okay. So these are the properties, driver details you will find on each Intel driver. So battery storage controllers. So this would be the storage controller we have in our Windows 11 devices. Okay. So these are the hardware information, which firmware our operating system is using, or our adapter is, this laptop is using. Okay. So that case we can find it by the list of with the graphical user interface in device manager we can be found. Okay, we can add drivers here, scan for the hardware changes, devices and printers also. We will find the required information. Now, what about Linux operating system? When you found the Intel drivers or how many input output ports they are connected to it. Okay, so we will type the simple command lspci. So it will let us know how many devices are connected to a system board. So this would be supported by Linux kernel. Okay. So here you can see that these are the VMware driver this Ubuntu operating system is using. Okay. So because it's a virtual product of kernel port it would be using, and virtual SATA edge controller hard disk it would be using, and this is the Ethernet VMX Net 3, which is the VMware company Ethernet driver. Okay, now when we check of our Windows operating system, we will type the simple command ncpa.cpl. So here we will find out, see this would be the my driver, Ethernet driver. So here you can find it that this would be the Realtek driver for my Windows devices. So in the similar way, in Linux, our Ubuntu operating system, it's using VMware driver of a VMX Net3 Ethernet controller adapter. Okay, so understood. These are the computer hardware we will find in Linux Ubuntu operating system. Now we will use it with the by a command with the specifier option with the hyphen to show the devices along with which are connected to kernel drivers and modules. Okay, so this would be, I will clear the screen and I will again, you can toggle it also if you want a high full screen. So now if I would type lspci then hyphen k, so it will be more friendly interface in the what are the ports for VMware PCI bridge drivers are there, it would be listed here. Okay. Now, which are the kernel drivers means OS kernel, which driver is using its VMX net 3. So likewise, we will move ahead with our command line interface of Linux. Now we will like to know how many USB drives or that there means keyboard, mouse, how much they are connected, or we have any virtual pen, we have any USB port which we have connected the pen drive. Okay, so how we will determine here in our Windows operating system? As I told you, we can find it by device manager. So in device manager, we can see the number of USB ports, the mouse, keyboard connect, the keyboards connected. Okay, and the mouse and also the USB drives connected to this laptop or my Windows devices. Okay, so these are the or any Bluetooth devices connected or any kind of, so USB 300 USB device like a pen drive is connected. Okay, so likewise you can find it by device manager. Now in Linux you can find it by ls USB command. So that will help us to know the USB sticks or devices which are there. USB connected devices. Okay, so here we have no. So it will generally get out this information. Now next step we'll find out the Linux kernel, what it usually uses, a load set driver module. So ls mode command will, what it will do, it will load the currently loaded models from the Linux driver or kernel. See here you can see that VXLAN, and so let's see on Ubuntu operating system what are the modes or which kernel mode they are using. Okay, so here you can say VM WGFX is using. Okay, now about the UDP tunnel is there here. Let's see what which tunnel they are using here for communication. So see we can see VMX Net3 driver is there. Okay, so it would be listing those modules which of the hardware. Okay, and also the amount of memory each driver is using. So let's say our VMX Net3 driver, as we have find it, how many, so 61,440 MB is used by this driver. Okay, so likewise we will move further. Now we'll come about the disk management part or the BIOS management part on our devices. Okay, in Windows we can do it by F10 by when we come to drive the BIOS part. Okay, but we will not go in our Windows devices to check for our BIOS settings. Okay, because it will disturb our entire environment again, and we have to again restart our PC and starting it. Okay, so likewise we can continue for the FDisk part. Let's say, so this is the command. We can change the partition table in our Ubuntu operating system. We can list the partition. We can view the partition size in blocks. So likewise, we can FDisk can be used with different option. Let's see. I know with B when we use. So I would also like to know the size. So what would be the size? So we have to specify those B with the size means how much size I have to allocate this compatible mode, print the help desk if I am getting any help. So I would associate this command with this option. Now, without using L option, the fdisk command is an interactive mode that is typically used to modify partitions on a disk space. Okay, so we have to use this command very carefully for the with the L option because it would be uh, letting us into an interactive mode where we can use to modify the partition. Okay, so now we are not doing those, we are not creating formatting those or deleting those partitions in our disk, in our Ubuntu PC disk. Okay, so we will not uh, move ahead on this part. Means we would simply we would not change or format the partition. We can simply list the partitions for the specified devices by this command. Okay, so in Ubuntu operating system, you can find it that what are the partitions are available in our, so sorry, the command went wrong. See, so here we can find it that these are the partitions which are allotted in our Linux Ubuntu operating system. Okay, so this would be our if no devices are given, then those mentioned in proc partitions if that file are already exist. Okay, so it means that if there are no specific partitions they have defined or no devices are given, okay, for those partitions, so then it will be taking those partitions in this directory only. Okay, so these are all about our content for today's understanding the computer hardware in Ubuntu operating system. So thank you for watching.